Chic Life with the girl, your favorite girl. Chic Life, a space for you and I to be heard. Chic Life with the girl, your favorite girl. Chic Life, live life of God, live chic.
Hey y'all, it is your favorite girl Anjali back with season 2 of the Chic Life Podcast. Yes, I'm super excited to be back with season 2. I want to drop the disclaimer early on, that way we can just go ahead and get that out the way and we don't have to keep repeating it as we go, right? So a little bit about me is, first and foremost, I love Jesus. I am a believer. So any story I tell, any advice I give, any suggestion that I give is probably going to have a little Jesus, God, Holy Ghost, something in there. Okay. Just to give you a fair warning, I'm not going to beat you over the head with the Bible, but it's a part of my life. It's a part of my story. So you're going to hear about it. I also love Lil' Kim. I love 90s R&B and hip hop. So I may make a reference from time or two. I might say, shall I proceed? And I'm going to expect you to say, yes, indeed. Okay, so if that's not your cup of tea, that is perfectly fine. You can mosey on to another podcast that suits your liking, okay? So now that we have that all out of the way, as they say on these podcasts, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to the channel because we're going to be back consistent dropping episodes on a weekly basis. So what has been going on? Well, a lot of things have been going on, which is why season 2, if I were to be like totally honest with you all, probably should have been dropped about March of this year. I know it's June, and I'm just now getting to a point of dropping the podcast. I've been procrastinating. I've been putting it off for quite some time. But in my opinion, I had some good reasons, right? So if I could be transparent with you, I was struggling pretty bad. I'd say for the past year or so, I have been struggling, and only maybe a few people know about what's actually been going on. But today I'm going to share it with you all because the hope with this podcast that you'll hear mostly every time that you listen is I want to encourage, empower, and inspire someone. I want someone to be better than what they were from when they came on from the podcast. So if I could say anything that could help you along the way, then I feel like I've completed my mission. So I've been struggling simply with myself. Chic Life is a beauty brand that promotes wearing your beauty from the inside out. The origin of that story came from the struggle of life that I went through. I tried to hide the brokenness with hair and makeup and clothes, and at least I thought I was hiding it, right? I tried to hide it, and, I got to a point to where I decided to heal from within, and so that's where Chic Life came from. But this time around, the struggle was a little bit different because now the very thing that I could control, right, the very thing that I used before to hide my brokenness, I could no longer control, right? So I'd say sometime last year, I was faced with some autoimmune diseases, one of which is called Graves' disease. And so I didn't know I was struggling. I actually found out on a humble, if I were to be honest with you. I thought I was suffering with postpartum depression. Like, I had a baby in 2021. And so I thought it was just that. So I got back in therapy and I was trying to do what I thought I needed to do until we found that I was having some issues with my thyroid. And so that spun everything out of control. Like, the very thing that I could control and I could use to hide the things I didn't want people to see, I can no longer control. I mean, from my hair falling out, my nails are deformed, my weight up and down, I can't keep it together, skin, my heart palpitations. I mean, the the typical textbook symptoms of the disease I was suffering with. And so now that I found it, I'm getting on medication and trying to get better, but it has been a struggle because I don't feel like myself. I've also been struggling with psoriasis, and I only have psoriasis in my nails, right? And so I talk with my hands a lot. I talk with my hands. And so now, because my nails are deformed, I hide my hands. And so it has been a struggle just with myself. I have not been able to really be myself, I would say, the past year or so. And so I've been wanting to record the podcast for a while. I've been writing a new book, and I just can't come to terms with myself because I don't look how I prefer. I mean, I was supposed to have done a photo shoot beginning of this year. I've been putting it off because I'm like, well, I wanted to lose a little weight. Well, now that's going to be a struggle because I'm trying to get regulated and now I can't lose the weight like I want to. And so I'm like, well, I'll just, wait till I can. Well, it's June. So if I were going to continue to wait, I wouldn't be recording this podcast now. So why am I sharing all that? Well, the purpose is really to kind of dive deep to why I allowed circumstances that I can't control to actually control my progress and the things that I set out to accomplish. Why was I not just struggling with myself physically, but it was almost like I was struggling with myself spiritually and emotionally as well. How do we get to that point? Because the fact of the matter is, if this were somebody else talking to me, saying how they felt about themselves, I would probably affirm them and speak life. But when it came to myself, I couldn't find the words to speak life or affirm myself. So how did we overcome? Well, I'm glad you asked. This part of the podcast is going to stay the same. So before I ask you to get your notebook, your favorite pen, your notes app, whatever it is, to take down some notes in hopes that if you're struggling with yourself in any kind of way, that you can help yourself too. So first and foremost, I had to deal with myself. Okay, so I had to go to the doctor. Now, women typically will go to the doctor on a regular basis. Men I know are a little different, but I actually had to go way more often than I normally would. And I had to just face the music with it. It's annoying. You try to get in as soon as possible because you're trying to get stuff regulated, but that's what I had to do. And so the first step to even get to a point of recovery within myself is I had to quiet the noise in my head. And I mean the noise, like, all the lies that I started to believe, like I was ugly, I wasn't good enough, like I look a hot mess. I mean, I literally would look at pictures of myself and say I looked a hot blankety blank mess. Because my weight is different from what I would prefer and what I've been used to. I had to quiet that noise. I had to literally isolate myself, not keeping myself from people, but actually get in the room with God and allow Him to remind me of who He says I am. The trouble with that is when you isolate yourself, it's kind of hard to do that because, well, one, because we have stuff to do, right? We have to work, we have kids, we have spouses, we have hobbies and things that we're a part of. And it's just really hard to do that, but it's necessary. And so it's very important to have friends, families, and spouses that actually are really there for you and can understand your journey, because it's not easy when a person is sick and going through things and they change and they're not the person that you've always known them to be. So it pays to have the right people around you when you're going through, because they're going to be the ones holding it down for you. They're going to be the ones standing in the gap for you. They're going to be the ones holding you up while you feel like you're sinking. So I had to quiet the noise. I had to isolate myself with just me and God so He could remind me of who He said that I was, right? The second thing, I really had to come with grips of what my physical health meant at this moment. I have never been a sickly individual ever. And so now that I have these diseases and it's not something you could take some Advil and going about your business, the regulation process is a slow one. Even with medication, it is a slow process. And so, not only do you have to try to work with medication and allow it a moment to try to regulate your body, you might have to make some changes too. Because, it's hard to know what the truth is from what's not the truth. But, you can't really eat much of anything these days. So maybe you have to change your diet. Maybe you have to change the things that you eat. Maybe, I'm a person, I love ices, especially the summertime. What? I would be at the gas station every single day getting an icy. Well, this time around, not so much, because I'm on a mission right now. My health is way more important now. So I have to cut down the sugar. That means anything that's starchy that I love, like potatoes and rice and pasta that turn into sugar, maybe I have to cut that down. Who's actually trying to do all of that though? Not I. At least not at first, but I want to live, and I know I have to do a lot more than just take some medication. So I had to come to grips on what that actually meant with my physical health and do the necessary things so I can get regulated and still live a quality life. And so if that's you, go to the doctor. Please don't be that person. Well, I'll go when something's no. Get you a primary care physician. Go get your yearly checkups because it is necessary. You just never know. Things sometimes just come out of nowhere because that's what happens to me. So the next thing on the other side, like dealing with my emotional health, is okay. So I've always been a person that tried to, keep my appearance up. Right now, I'm not that pleased with my appearance. So what can I do in the meantime? Well, what I did is found a few outfits that complemented whatever body I'm in at the moment. Okay. Sometimes I'm in my bigger body. Sometimes I'm in my smaller body. So I have to have outfits that make me feel comfortable and cute at the same time while I'm going through this transition. Because let me just be transparent with you all. During this whole time, especially while the pandemic was still kind of lingering around, I'd be in all types of athleisure wear, dark colors. Okay. Any type of sweatpants. Now my outfit's going to be coordinated now, but I'm going to be in some sweats, probably some sneakers, like my cute outfits that I have just sitting collecting dust in the closet. Nah, I don't like the way I look in that right now. So I had to get back to myself. That's not who I am normally. Like, I put on some kind of outfit, right? And so I had to start lining up like, okay, what do I have right now that will fit and make me feel comfortable? Well, the great thing about that, it is maxi dress season. Well, that's the best thing I could put on right now. Something comfortable, something cool, something that's not going to show all my, what I'm saying, And I can do that right now while I'm going through whatever this transition is, right? And so the last thing, the biggest thing for me, and I'm hoping maybe for you too, is I had to get back up and fight. All my life, I had to fight. I know we know that's a quote from a movie, but no, for real though. Like, most of my adult life, maybe even before, I had to fight in some kind of way. I had to fight at my job. I had to fight these... if I say these hoes, just know I'm not accusing anybody of being promiscuous. I say that like saying like they, but I just say hoes sometimes, okay? But, sometimes they'd be at church. That's a whole nother story. I had to get back up and fight, right? I've been fighting my whole life anyway. Now I'm fighting with a greater purpose. Now it's fighting because, there might be somebody out there that might need an encouraging word. And here I am just sitting here sulking in my misery, allowing all the lies in my mind just take over. And I'm not accomplishing what I've been setting out to do. So I had to get back up and fight. It's not easy. Sometimes I don't always hit the mark, if I could be honest with you. But I'm back now, as you see. So I said all that to say, you may not be struggling with any physical health issues, right? Like me, like any autoimmune disease or anything like that. But maybe you are struggling with yourself emotionally, spiritually. You're just struggling, period. And you find it hard to find your footing. Well, I'm talking to you. Get back up and fight. I know you're tired of fighting. I get it. Trust me, I get it. It gets tiresome fighting all the time, right? Like, why do you always have to be the one fighting all the time, right? Trust me, I feel you. But I mean, what else are you going to do? Just lay down and take it while everybody else walks all over you and they go get what they're seeking, what they're going after, and you just sitting there just taking all the hits? No, get back up and fight. Get back up and fight. But do your due diligence, though. Do you need to go to therapy? Therapy and Jesus is a great combination. I'm trying to tell you what I know. Okay. I'm trying to tell you what I know. Maybe you need to go to therapy. Maybe it's some time that's necessary for you to isolate just you and God. Maybe that means you won't be going out. Maybe you're a little distant from your friends. I let them know what's going on so they could be praying for you, but maybe you just need to isolate right now. Maybe it's not time to be kicking it. I know it's summer. We outside. That's what everybody be saying now. Maybe it's not time for you to be outside. I don't know. Whatever it is for you, but do it. I had a friend of mine that said, do it scared. I'm doing it scared right now. I had to find the courage to sit here and get in front of a camera and put all these lights on, throw my little lashes on, even when I don't feel my best. I don't feel my best physically. I don't feel my best emotionally. However, I said I wasn't going to keep getting knocked down. I'm getting up and I'm fighting now. You got the right one, right? And I believe you're the right one as well. So, as always, throughout this season 2 of this podcast, I hope you're encouraged. I hope you're empowered. I hope you're inspired by something that's said here. Make sure you hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And as always, I will talk to you soon. See you later.
Live life of God.